if I'm being very honest, I didn't really want to do research on China. I didn't want to do China studies, let alone research on rural China. That wasn't because of lack of interest. That was out of concern that it was getting too close to my heart. That was getting too close to something very existential, especially after, having lived in a very different social, political, cultural context for more than a decade in Europe. But for a mix of reasons, I went there. And I went there sort of, I was set to understand collective natural resource management in the context of rural youth and male out migration. But when I touched the soil, basically, it all changed, right? Because what I experienced with their everyday life, and especially that sentence that still haunts me very often now, is that when the elderly peasants, especially women, they would repeatedly tell me that they have nothing worthy to say and they're worthless. And that really shook me to my core, especially thinking how their work in the family, in the fields, has sustained not only their immediate families, but on a larger scale, China's economic growth, especially in the 80s and 90s, that required cheap labor, right, in the urban export-oriented economy. And I started really to think, okay, what is this thing here that makes them feel so invisible? And it dawned on me that is actually the invisibility of their care work. That's the core of their life. Not necessarily the mission of their life, but out of cultural, political heritage that has become something that is taken for granted, but at the same time devalued and invisible. So what I want to say here is, I think personal interests and concerns and passions can be good starting points, but back to doing careful scholarship, I think it requires an openness, a genuine openness, to really get a sense of what matters to the people on the ground.